So have you ever looked and saw the heading or heard that banks have made $1 billion this quarter? And ever wondered how is that even possible that every single quarter the banks are making so much money? Billions of dollars. And that's exactly what we're going to look at here today in this video. How are the banks making that money? Now let's jump right into it. And the first way the banks make money is what we call it interest rate spread. Now, how does that work exactly? Let's look at that in an example. Let's say the money I get, whether it be from a job, parents give me money, whatever it may be, that money that you make, you stick that in a checking or savings account. And roughly the bank's going to pay you a very low interest rate of around 1% or even less. Now, what the bank's going to do is they're going to take that money that you put in the bank and lend it out to somebody else through a mortgage or through a personal line of credit. Now, they're going to charge that individual 4 to 20% or more. And that difference is known as the interest rate spread. And that's going to be the bank's profit. So, in an example, a real world example, the average interest rate here in Canada on mortgages is roughly about 5%, a little bit lower now with the bank cutting their interest rates. But the average savings account in Canada is paying less than 2%, which is not much. So, let's say I'm getting 2% interest on the money I put in the bank, and somebody's paying a mortgage of 5 or 6%. Now, that difference is going to be 3 to 4%, and that money is going to the bank as profit. And the banks are making billions of dollars on that interest rate spread. Next, let's look at the fees. Don't we just love hearing that word over and over again? Fees. But the banks are charging it and they're making lots of money on it. The different things that they charge fees on us are through monthly account fees, ATM withdrawal fees, overdraft fees, wire transfer fees, NSF fees, late penalty fees. There's a lot of fees that the banks are charging, and they're making a lot of money on this. Now, according to Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, the average monthly checking account ranges between $4 to $30 in terms of fees. That's a lot of money, because if you multiply that to millions and millions of Canadians that have a checking account, the banks are making some serious revenue. And if we look back in 2023, RBC reported $1.8 billion in non-interest income, and most of that came from fees and service charges. The other interesting thing is on the NSF fee side, with the recent budget that just came out, the government was talking about reducing the fees for 2026. And the interesting thing here is that over $600 million is still being made by the banks on NSF fees. We're all out there working hard, trying to make a buck, and the banks are still taking advantage of us, even on the NSF fees, and still making millions of dollars on that. Now let's jump into investing the client deposits like ours. So the banks just don't keep our money in a vault and keep it safe. They invest a portion of that into low risk assets like government bonds, treasury bill securities. And these are highly regulated under the Basel III framework. But think about it, if you're investing billions of dollars, the return still can be significant. Finally, we have the credit products, such as the credit cards and loans. We probably have a credit card or a loan ourselves. And this is where the banks make most of their highest returns. Because most average credit cards here in Canada, the interest rate that they're charging is 19.99%. Pretty big amount. Then on the personal loans, again, those vary, but they can range from between 6 to 15%, and that also depends on the type of credit that you have. Now, we also have student loans, some of us. We may have a car loan. We also have many other lines of credits, and all this is generating a steady stream of interest income for the banks. Plus, the banks are also charging the merchants a transaction fee around 1.5 to 2.5% every time you use your card. So many ways that the banks are making money. And let's recap what those are. The first one is the interest rate spread. Basically taking your money, lending it to somebody else through mortgage, personal line of credit, or other sources, and basically keeping that interest that they're charging them and what they're giving you as interest rate spread. Then we have charging fees on pretty much everything you can think of, from the ATMs to account maintenance fees and even NSF fees. Crazy. Third, we have investing your deposits in low risk assets, which the banks continue to make money on. And finally, offering those credit products and loans with the high interest rates. Again, the money that you put in there, they're lending it back out to you and others, and that is through a credit product. Banks have so many ways that they're making money, hence why every quarter they can report billions and billions of dollars in revenue. Crazy stuff. But why is that important? Because if we understand how the banks make their money and how they profit, it also allows us to be more financial smart, because instead of just keeping money in the checking or savings account through the bank, which is pretty much getting you nothing, why not invest in the bank? Buy their stock. Become part shareholder in the company that is making billions of dollars, so that at least you can benefit. Whereas right now, the banks are not helping us. Instead, they're going to continue to charge us all these fees just for being a client for them, and they're going to continue to make that money. You can invest in the banks and at least be a shareholder and earn profit when they earn profits as well. So if you like this video and you stayed to the end, I appreciate you as always. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and I hope to make more financial videos like this for you in the future. So stay tuned. Thanks again, everybody. Take care.